Hello and welcome back to Top Troops, everybody. And as you can see, my squad coins are still maxed, so we definitely need to do something about that. And that is why today we will be looking at leveling up all of the legendaries that we unlocked in our recent summon video on this account, as well as the previous one, because I seem to have missed that. So we have quite a few units to level up here and run through. And as we go through them, obviously we'll be looking at their skills and collecting. I don't think I'll be collecting this now. It used to be 50 diamonds or 50 gems. Now it's 10 gems. I'll be leaving this for a bit. If it gets less, great. If it gets more, yeah. There's been a lot of little changes and tweaks. So I'll be waiting to see what happens. But with that, as we can see, this is Hermes. He is a divine assassin, and obviously if we look at his main skill, it is called I Have Arrived, which also has electrocute. Electrocute just says that the target receives 2% of the attacker's base damage every second and an additional 5% for every attack received. So at the beginning of the battle, Hermes will teleport to the other side of the battlefield and create a 2.5 area radius lasting 6 seconds. Enemies in the radius will be electrocuted for 10 seconds. So for 10 seconds, every second, the target will receive 2% of Hermes's base damage and an additional 5% for every attack. So not so bad. One too far, but his next special skill is Urgent Message, where Hermes will become invisible for 1.5 seconds after teleporting. This is quite cool because he is not targetable during this time, so it just gives him a bit more chance to actually get rid of those backline units before he himself gets attacked. Let's get to the next one. Here, the third special skill is Gotta Go, where he increases his critical chance against electrocuted units by 30%. And you can see this is why positioning is slightly important, because you need to position him to land in between units where he will apply electrocute, because it's just this I Have Arrived where he teleports that does apply the electrocute, and that increases his critical chance. And then let's see what the last skill here is. The area radius of I Have Arrived will become 3. So it just becomes bigger and bigger, which is great because it applies to more units. Overall, I do quite like Hermes. If you do rank him up, I think he gets up to 4 units. 3 or 4 at the max. I want to say 4. But definitely has some utility. I've used him in Chamber of Destiny, where he's definitely saved me a couple of times. So at higher levels, really good assassin. If I have to choose, my favorite is coming up in a second, so I will show you when we get there. But yeah, definitely a good unit. If we're looking at the stats here, quite decent attack, hold on, block chance. So yeah, not too bad. If I would have to think about what gear I would apply, mostly for assassins, I would lean towards either higher damage or more attack speed, because generally most of their abilities scale off their attack damage, and if they can attack more, that just increases everything. And especially with Hermes, with his skills, having additional crit chance and also the increase while electrocute is effective, more attacks will definitely do him good. And next up, this is one of my favorite assassins, Eira, and it's most likely because she jumps to the backline and then she freezes a bunch of units. I've had duplicates of this in Chambers of Destiny, and they just continually freeze the entire army if they get the correct position. So very overpowered, not overpowered, but very useful unit, depending on a bit of RNG. But overall, I do love her. Let's see, the first and main special skill is called Tip of the Iceberg, which has a cooldown of 6 seconds and applies freeze, which means the unit can't move or attack. So at the start of battle, Eira teleports to the opposite side of the battlefield, mirroring her initial position. Then when cooldown expires, Eira will spawn an area of radius 2 that will freeze enemies for 1.5 seconds. Really useful to have. Second special skill increases the area of tip of the iceberg to 2.5, so it makes this quite a bit bigger, which is very welcome. Freezes more units. Increases critical chance against frozen units by 30%. This is the other part of it. So as she's attacking those frozen units, her critical chance is greatly increased. And then lastly, snow camouflage. At the beginning of battle, Eira becomes invisible for 1.5 seconds. So very, very similar to Hermes, apart from the freezing, which I prefer over electrocution because, yes, electrocution damages the units a little bit, but freezing makes them unable to attack while they can still be attacked. In my books, just a lot better. Let's look at overall stats. 10 gems, not doing that. Here you can see attack speed is increased from Hermes. I think his was only at a 1. Cooldown she has, so you can definitely look at having some cooldown gear on her to increase the freezing rate. And also, if you want, definitely, like I previously said, some additional attack. It's never a bad thing. And lifesteal. Surprisingly, assassins are pretty much glass cannons normally, but a little bit of lifesteal can go a long way. I've seen it in some recent battles where some units have been surprising me by just healing up when they normally would not be able to. But that's it for Eira. Definitely a unit that we want to get to higher levels because population also increases. Then Girtablilu. He is a divine and a ranged unit. And more of a support, I believe. Very good design. Let's double check what he does. So in the special skills, we have the Blessing of Circuit, which is his main skill, has a cooldown of 5 seconds, and it applies injury. Injury is just that the target's max health is reduced by 1% of the attacker's damage. This effect can be stacked. Great stuff. So he will direct a projectile to the support unit with the higher health in his range, dealing 200% of damage and 25 stacks of injury. So it will go down 25% of his attack, which is quite good. And those support units would be your healers and trolls, I think, are also support. Let's double check. I think your... What am I thinking? A healer. Cleric, I think, is I don't know. I'll double check. Anyways, getting back to our unit at hand, Girtablilu. His second skill is Protector of Temples, which just increases his critical chance. The number of injury stacks applied by the Blessing of circuit increases to 80, so quite a significant increase. And then, oops, let's just unlock the last one and then quickly look at that. There we go. Hawkeye, which increases critical damage by 25%. Now, it's important to notice here that, critical chance here is just an overall critical chance increase by 20%, which is quite great because that's every attack. However, when you look at Eira, for instance, it's only against frozen units that it increases critical chance. Or Hermes, it's only against electrocuted units. So, in essence, this skill would be better overall, even though it's slightly a lower percentage, because it's every attack against every unit that has that chance. But off to the next. Actually, we didn't look at his stats. Attack speed, his population stays 1, he doesn't get any more. Cooldown, movement speed, critical chance at 20%, which gets increased. So on him, most likely crit chance would be great, cooldown would also be great. Attack speed, just to get more attacks out for more crits. All of the above. Now, Storm, as you can see, I no longer have this unit in my squad. However, I'm still going to level her because I have so many coins. And then when I do get her again, I think I fed her in a recent video to one of my units. So let's just advance her, confirm. She is a divine mage, and her first and main skill is Ryu, where a storm will summon a lightning, will summon a lightning bolt upon the closest enemy, dealing 500% of her damage to it. Great stuff. Let's just hit the next level. Oops, going over a bit. Then I might be butchering these names, but Daudensei. After summoning Ryu, the lightning bolt will travel through an additional 2 units that are electrocuted, dealing the same damage to each of them. As you can see at higher levels, this definitely can stack up and do quite a bit of damage. Then the third skill is Mahi, which applies a stun. Units affected by Ryu will be stunned for 0.8 seconds. It's not very long, but at higher levels and also with more units affected, definitely something that is worth noting. And then lastly, Electrode Bath. Attacks that would electrocute Storm still deal damage, but instead of electrocuting her, they boost her attack damage by 2%. Now, attack damage is not all that high, but definitely when you max it by 500%, it gets a bit more impressive. I initially didn't like her, but might be somebody to look out for. Quite interesting that all of her skills are to do with lightning and yeah, but nothing with electrocute. Anyways, population stays at 1, no matter how you get her. And here we can see definitely cooldown you would want to get down. If you can get attack up, that is great too. So those two kind of would be what I would focus on for her for gears. Now, Inferno Shredder. Here is an infernal support, and we'll see what his abilities are now. So support units like this is what Girtablilu would be attacking. So his main skill is Shredder's Riff, where Inferno Shredder will create an area of radius of 3 around himself that will boost his allies' damage by 25%. If there is at least 1 enemy suffering burn, the boost will be doubled. This will last for 4 seconds. So, yeah, you want people to be suffering burn. because you want to boost your stats. Then we have Infernal Soul, which increases Shredder's riff radius. Too crazy there. And then you have Keep Them Aware, which unlocks a permanent area of radius 3 that increases allies' defense by 15%. So this is good because this is always up. Anybody in that radius gets boosted. And then you have Inferno Slap. Regular attacks have a 70% chance of spawning an area of radius 2.5 that burns enemies for 3 seconds. And what does burn mean? The target receives 3% of the attacker's base damage every second, and its defense is lowered by 25%. So a double whammy there. Definitely a unit to have in your squad as it increases defense and also takes down the enemies and applies burns and does all kinds of great things. Population remains at 1, and here you can see attack speed is quite high, cooldown also quite high. So for Inferno Shredder, most likely I would like to focus on attack speed and cooldown, because the more you attack, the higher chance you have of spawning those burn zones. Cooldown for your Shredder's riff. So yeah, definitely a valuable unit to add, and one that you would like to upgrade as well. Then we have Leshy. Leshy is a hunter mage, and let's look at the main skill. Just an illusion. When one of Leshy's entities die, it will be reborn only once with 30% of the original entity's health. Now, at higher levels, the population gets to about 4, but at lower levels it's just 1. So if this entity dies, another one will spawn with only 30% health. Then Back for Blood. So when the entity is reborn, its attack speed is increased by 10%. Great stuff. So it attacks a bit faster. There was a little bit of lag there. I'm assuming that the daily challenges have just reset, and that's why I got that apple. But anyways, Only the Thorniest is the third special skill, where Leshy's damage increases by 10%. And then the Root of the Problem. A permanent area of radius 3 surrounds Leshy. An enemy who enters it has their attack speed decreased by 30% and their movement speed decreased by 40%. So this is a really good thing, and why you would want Leshy. And it also... his basic attack also kind of slows them down a little bit. Or was that just the animation? Anyways, so if we look at our stats here, we have attack speed of 1.5. There's no cooldown. So for Leshy, if I was looking at including this unit in my squad, you already have damage increase in your abilities, so I most likely will not look at increasing that further with gear. I would most likely look at attack speed, health points, because that's what they revive against, and then something like lifesteal, so that if they are revived, they can heal themselves if they are at a safe vantage point. But not one of the top units that I'm focusing on or would want to focus on. Stone Hermit, I no longer have him because I fed him to some other people. I don't really see a value in some of these units. This is one of it. Herbalist is another. We might get to him in a bit. But Infernal Support, this is probably one of the first unit legendaries that I unlocked, and I never leveled it because I've never seen it add any value. His first and main skill is Holy Ground, where Stone Hermit will imbue a circular patch of land radius 1.5 that will travel in a straight line, increasing attack speed by 7%, and heal electrocution for 5 seconds. So quite specific in what it does, electrocution, but attack speed is good. Yeah, let's go. Then secluded depth, the radius of holy ground becomes 2.5. Third skill is levitation, and allies unelectrocuted by holy ground will receive 10% attack speed boost, so it's just more attack speed. And then attacks that would electrocute stone Hermes deal damage, boost their damage, not really high damage, so it doesn't really matter. And if you look at it, attack speed, only if they were electrocuted, not great. 7%, you can get more attack speed with gear, so it kind of renders this unit useless. Archangel, here we go. This is one that I do actually want because of the reflective abilities, and apparently this has some crazy things that it does to the winged sun ancient at higher levels, which I would be very interested to see. But yeah, divine support. Here you can see Blessed Dome, very high cooldown. At the start of battle and after cooldown, spawns a dome that blocks incoming projectiles with 60% of the unit's health. So health is quite important. Then looking at Bright Aura, the dome's radius becomes 5.2, so just a bigger dome. Divine Wings, which has a 14% chance of rebounding any projectile hitting the dome back to the attacker. Very useful. This is what takes me out with my high hitting Arcane Hunters and Dwarf Engineer. It hurts when it reflects. And then Healing Grace, which has regeneration. So when a projectile hits the dome, allies inside it heal by 1% of Archangel's max health, up to 10% per second. So again, max health is important. What is regeneration? Every 1 second, the unit heals a percentage of the target's max health. So we want max health at as much as we can get. So for this unit, we would want cooldown to come down a lot, and we want health to go up a lot, because that's the only thing that it needs to do. Great stuff. So built-in healing, if you can keep the dome up. Here we have Herbalist, Hunter support. I don't even know if I want to level him. I'm just going to run through the skills here, because I have a feeling after Ascension I'll need squad coins, so I'm not going to waste them on Herbalist. I won't use them. So firstly, Fungal Fun. The Herbalist will spawn a patch of mushrooms that will move around him for 2.5 seconds. Allies who step on it will be healed from poison and have their defense increased by 7% for 4 seconds. So Stone Hermit was attack speed, this is just defense. Okay, the patch of mushrooms created by Fungal Fun will move at a speed of 10. It just revolves around Herbalist. It's not something amazing. And then allies healed from poison by Fungal Fun will receive a 10% boost. Again, in defense. And attacks it with poison. So it's very much a copy-paste, just with different stats. Early units were very unimaginative. And that is it. We have leveled up the legendaries apart from Stone Hermit, and here you can again see we need 7 more on this account to fully unlock all legendaries. However, there will be some ascensions soon. Let's just get all of these out of the way. So there will be some ascensions coming pretty soon. Getting rid of these and getting them at higher levels, and then we'll also level those units up. So there's half of the squad coins gone, and hopefully in the next video or two we'll do ascensions and the rest of them will be gone too. But with that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. What units did you unlock and level recently, and how are you finding the changes? Yeah, I'm a bit uncertain, especially because when talking to support, they just said it's a test and, you know, it is what it is. But I would expect a bit more communication around it. However, let's see what happens and have a great day. Cheers.